we'll let some other people come in as they come in. Appreciate everybody joining us here today. I've got some interesting stuff to show, and Dave's got some slides.
Yep, that's what I do. All right, well, welcome to our session today, everybody. As people pop in, we'll just let them know they can feel free to ask questions throughout the exercise, and we're happy to answer them. You can feel free to use the raise hand feature here in Teams, and we'll stop what we're talking about, and we'll answer any questions that you might have. All right, so we'll do some quick introductions. We'll talk a little bit about who SparkHound is, and if I'm looking back and forth because I have two screens going here. We'll talk a little bit about issues that we face today in the public sector, contract management and vendor management. So today we're going to talk about the Power Platform that Microsoft offers, and we're going to have an example that we're developing for several of our clients in the public sector around vendor and contract management, which we've seen has been an issue for many, many years that we've dealt with in our public sector. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. Matt's going to then talk about what we really need to have kind of a minimum viable product, not a most valuable player. He's going to do a demo of something he's developed for some of our clients to take a look at. And we'll talk about one of the solutions that we're developing right now for one of our clients. And then we'll do some Q&A at the end. So
in true Meyer form, though, it isn't something that we developed for our clients. It's something that I kind of put together last night. So
but it's an idea from our clients. So I'm Dave Baxter. I'm the VP of Sales for SparkHound. I have been with the company for 17 and a half years. Prior to that, I worked in the public sector. I worked for the state of Connecticut for about 7 years at University of Connecticut, the 2024 National Championship basketball team this year. And then I worked for the Louisiana District Attorneys Association for 7 years when I moved to Louisiana. So I had about 14 years in the public sector, and then the last 17 and a half working in the private sector. So I have been on your side of the shoes, and I've been dealing with private sector and public sector clients for the last 17 and a half years. With me today, we have Matt. Matt, talk about yourself a little bit.
Yeah, I'm Matt Meyer. I am a solutions architect for the most part. I do a lot of work inside of the Microsoft Power Platform, as well as Code First applications. I've been around IT for about the last 25 years or so, just working in, I'm always on the tech side. So, I don't really know what real people do all day long. So I like to have Dave and you people let me know what it is that we can do. I like solving problems with technology. I think it really helps people out and improves their lives. And so that's kind of where I'm at. I've been with SparkHound for the last 4.5 years or so. And yeah, liking what we're doing.
Thank you, sir. And a little bit about SparkHound. We've been around since 1998. When I joined the company in 2007, we had been working already in the public sector for many years. We're based our headquarters is in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, which is where I'm located. Thankfully, all things are good right now. We had some pretty rough storms that rolled through this morning, so I lost power for several hours. But we're all back up and running again. So my ISDN line has got power and we're rolling. We're good. But we've been working with the public sector now for the last 25 plus years. A lot of experience across the entire country, really. We've got clients from Ohio to Wisconsin to Louisiana to Florida to Texas, all across the country, North Carolina as well. So we've and been involved with the Microsoft partnership since 2004. Been a Microsoft partner, and we are a content AI preferred as well. Matt and you might have heard from the invites for this, got us certified and qualified for that program a couple of years ago. So we've done a lot of really good things working with Microsoft and with our clients over the last 20 plus years. So about today, we have been involved in the Power Platform since before it made its official GA launch into the ecosphere. We've been working with that for quite some time now, and we wanted to get involved in this early because we saw this whole low code, no code scenario becoming a very popular platform for our clients. We know that oftentimes in the public sector, you've got to do a lot more with less than what maybe some private sector clients have. And this was a great way for some of our public sector clients to take advantage of maybe not having hardcore developers on staff, but people that could pick up how to do some low code, no code development with a platform that's familiar. You're used to using the Office 365 and the Microsoft platforms for a long time. So this was kind of something that your team could adopt and could easily start to develop solutions in. So we said, let's jump on board early with this. And we've seen a tremendous amount of opportunities be presented for our clients with tools they can create on their own. A little assistance from us, though, because they don't know really where to get started. It's like, hey, I'm going to build a house, but I need an architect to help me design this, and I need some consultants to tell me, what best practices are. So that's where we come in. We come in and we help you do some envisioning workshops. Let's come up with an idea that you have, or maybe a solution that's antiquated in your environment that could use some modernization. And then let us show you how to do that. Let's show you how to start from scratch and build a solution that you can then support long term. And all that starts really with our Center of Excellence Consulting. The Center of Excellence platform is something that you really need to have set up. It is the foundation for the Power Platform environment. It really sets the stage for you for success long term in this, because it sets the groundwork that you're going to need from either, from a standards environment, from an infrastructure environment, getting the business units involved as well, so they have some input. So we really help a lot with that. And we've also got this process accelerator, which is a tool that was added into Power Platform probably about 6 or 8 months ago or so now, but that helps you map out your processes automatically. So it really builds these nice workflows for you, your processes, and tells you where you might have some holes in some of your processes or where you could improve them. So we do that as well. And then, we want to help integrate, robotic process automation, content AI, generative AI. There's a lot of new tools that are available, and there's so many of them now that it's kind of hard to wrap your head around. Where do I use which technology? When's the right time to use it? How do I implement that inside of our environment? When does it make sense for us? So that's where we come in, is we've got a great holistic view of how all these tools can work together. And we've got lots of experience working with clients like yourself that have, taken on some of these challenges and delivered some really nice solutions for their agencies using these technologies. Like I said, we've been doing this for 25 years. Just a quick list of some of the different states that we're currently doing work with, the types of different departments that we do work with. We do work with states, we do work with counties, parishes in Louisiana where I am, lots of cities. So we've got a lot of experience across the different public sector ecosystem. But these are some of the issues that we see facing, around contract and vendor management. There's risk management at the beginning. So, writing the different contracts, how are they supposed to be structured? If you've got some boilerplate language and someone decides they want to change it, then you've got to go through the whole legal review process. And does that open up more risks for your agency by not using a standard contract? You've got tracking. You've got tracking deliverables. You've got, how are the vendors executing? Are they meeting their deliverables? Are they on budget? How are we managing the spend on this contract? And do we have visibility into that? And do we have automation associated with our contract management solution so that we don't have to manually go and search for the information? It can be fed to us, in real time in some cases when we're looking for the answers. And so these are the type of solutions that we want to help deliver for you guys. And this one, it really came about the first time about 3 years ago with a client of mine in Louisiana. They said, we're managing all of our contracts with a spreadsheet. And it literally came up in a conversation with an undersecretary from a department in Louisiana yesterday, where she was telling me, look, I've got this list, and she pulls up her spreadsheet and there's a list of all the contracts they have in her department. And that's just really no way to manage that. She's like, I don't know start dates, end dates. I don't know how we're tracking on these things. I don't know what the budget is. I don't know what the spend is. I don't know what any deliverables are. And so this is a solution I talked with her predecessor about 3 years ago, and it's now finally coming to fruition. And we've got another client I want to talk a little bit about later on that has the same issue. But it's all these things that a lot of our public sector clients face. So this is an idea that was really spawned by our clients. It wasn't something that we came up and said, this would be a great idea. He's having 3 or 4 clients, small size and very large size. Some of them have 6,000 to 7,000 employees in some of these public sector agencies, and some have 25 employees, but they have the same challenges with managing their contracts and their vendors.
This is typically people that we see that, there are a lot of contract management and vendor management pieces of software out there. These are groups that fall into kind of a sweet spot of we're going to use like 1% of that great big expensive contract management system, and it's just too much. How do we get a scaled down version that's just going to work for us? Or on the other side of things, it's we have this contract management system. It's all great. We like the feature functionality, but we need this much more custom on top of that. So we're working in that area where, okay, it doesn't fit that big expensive contract management system. We're going to build something else. You help us build it out so that you have something that works for your agency, just for your agency.
Right. Yeah, and as an example, one of the clients we're dealing with right now, they've got a third-party system that they have no flexibility in how that system can be configured. So if there's a change to their contracting process, if there's a change to their regulations, if there's laws that change that dictate how they're supposed to do procurement, they really don't have any way to modify the existing system that they have. And so they've got a lot of issues with not following the correct legal process in their state, as they're beholden to a third party that can give them any flexibility in how to manage and modify their system. And they don't have any interoperability with their other platforms. You know, they're a big Microsoft 365 user. They would love to be able to use the technology stack that they're already paying for with this solution, but they're limited because there's no integration necessarily with that. So it causes issues with collaboration with team members. You know, they really like to be able to use Teams with that system. They'd like to be able to have it integrated with some, you know, document management solutions that they have in-house. And then they have a hard time managing, you know, as you know, in a lot of large public sector state agencies, they get federal dollars, they get state dollars. Those dollars have to be managed separately. So no way to kind of track where the funding is coming from so that they can do the federal reporting requirements. And then it's also tough for accountability. If they have no way to track who's responsible for managing that contract, you know, who's responsible for overseeing the deliverables and approving deliverables, and then vice versa, you know, holding their vendor responsible for, hey, deliverable due dates, this is what the deliverables are they approved, are they rejected and sent back for modification, you know, are they totally rejected and we're not going to pay for that deliverable? So those are some of the challenges that they're having. And so they came to us and said, gosh, what can you guys do? And since we'd been having this conversation with a number of other clients, you know, Matt and I had a good whiteboard session with them, 2 or 3 whiteboard sessions, and they were like, yes, that's what we want. And we would love to be able to integrate some generative AI in there as well to really help streamline the contract process. So for example, when a new contract comes in, hey, we've already identified what the data elements are in each of those contracts. We can automatically insert that into the contract management system without having to do any kind of manual data entry. You know, you want to do some review of that to make sure it's accurate, but streamlining that contract entry process is a big time saver for them. So that's just one of the concepts we're going to talk about today, and Matt's going to do a quick demo on what he's done for that. Let's talk a little bit about what an MVP is.
So what does an MVP actually look like? And in talking to a lot of clients, really we've come up with just a few things that are absolutely necessary. So for a minimum viable product, what are people asking for? And most of the typical functionality sets is we need something that is going to be searchable. So when we put a contract in there, we need to have filtering, we need to have sorting, we need to have the ability to go in through keywords and pull out the contracts that we're looking for. We need metadata that is going to identify the contracts, like the parties that are involved. What are we calling those parties? What's the expiration date? What's the start date? Those kind of things. Addresses, contacts. Notifications are super big. Approvals. So if we are writing a contract, we need certain levels of approvals that go through there. I'm going to add e-signature. That's something very, very new that I am going to have a little demo on here in just a second. I hope it works. It's still preview, so we'll take a look at that. But warnings are really big. So what happens when a lease that we've got is 90 days from expiry, 60 days, 30 days, a week? Some of these situations we've dealt with, you have agencies that don't know that their leases are expiring, and they have to then go to court and do other things in order to get that lease extended or deal with other legal problems or monies that don't need to be spent. So these kind of things can all be solved with notifications, and that's a really big piece of this contract management part. Another is just templates of approved boilerplate contracts. We've all seen it. We have leases. We've got, if you work for the Hound, you're working with SOWs, right? So we're writing SOWs, and a good chunk of that is just normal stuff that is always in our contracts. So how do we out very, very quickly? How do we get them so that all we're doing is putting in the information that we need and then sending it out either through to e-signature or just to the next stage of approval? So those functionality we have found are very, very important, and they're kind of part of all of our contract management offerings, vendor management offerings. What gets deeper is what is important to you. As Dave brought up earlier, we have a client that is really interested in what are the deliverables of that particular contract, and are they completed? What is the budget spend? So this is all pieces that can be built into your program. One thing that I want to state here is that the Power Platform is just that. It's a platform. We build applications off of it. It's not just for contract management. It's for a number of different things. And because it is set up to be this platform that you can custom develop off of, you can add whatever your mind comes up with into your program.
Anyone have any questions or comments based on what we've talked about thus far?
Any additional things that you think that contract management needs?
Silence is deafening on that. Oh,
go ahead.
Yeah.
I think maybe the different stages of approval.
Yeah, stages of approval. Yeah, good.
And then in the Power Automate,
put it on there because this is something that is unique to most companies, and I just have it as approvals. But yeah, stages of approval for sure, absolutely, good.
Yep. Yeah,
and
one
also
thing
like generation of the Word document or the PDF document using the Power Automate, and then sending that document for approval, and then getting the signature and sending to the person of interest and all that.
Yeah, you're gonna love the demo.
Okay, thank you.
That's a really good concept. And it's interesting that you mentioned that, because Matt and I are working on another solution for another public sector client where they have a bunch of audio recordings. In this case, it's a Department of Labor in one of the states. And when they record these hearings, they have to create a transcript out of there. So they're hiring, court reporters to do the transcripts. And it might take, a couple of days to get the transcripts back. Now we're taking that MP3 file, we're uploading it to an Azure service, and it's automatically creating the transcription of that thing in about how long your recording might take about 5-6 minutes for it to be transcribed and pushed into a Word document. So it's amazing opportunities to use the technologies today to streamline processes. And that's another one that we can talk about at some point.
Thank you.
All right, so Matt,
Yay!
that being said, the show is on. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I will let you take over from here.
Okay. All right, so I have one question in 47 parts. Okay, hold on just a second. Let's make sure that everything is gonna work as expected. And all right, let's share it out. I want to stress that I put this together. All in all, this is about 4.5 hours worth of work on my side. And granted, I do know kind of what I'm doing inside the Power Platform and these other technologies. But I want to say that one of the advantages of using the Power Platform for building applications is that you can go to market very, very quickly. you don't really need to have to, you're worrying about testing functionality. You're not worrying about testing the actual nuts and bolts of the application itself, because they're already created and they're already gone through a testing procedure before they actually get released to you from Microsoft. So it really speeds up your development. And when you do development, this is my typical development screen. You see what changes happen as you do it. So anyway, let's go ahead and get kicked off here. And what I've got here is we're going to hit play and begin the app. What I've got here is just some listings of some contracts that I put in. So I have a consulting agreement, I've got a lease, a couple of services agreement, things like this. And you can see I've got some metadata that are I'll deal with the chat. Dave, if you can watch the chat and and ask questions. I've kind of got two screens, so I've got to. We've got the names here of the party, the first name. So this is going to be the originator of the contract, and then you have the second person. So this is either going to be the client or the landlord or something like that. So so we've got party first name, party second name, party first name, relationship, and the addresses and the expiration dates of the contracts. I also have the document locations here. So if I am to look at this particular one, let's take a look at the top one. We've got our consulting agreement here. I'll go ahead and just click on this, and that's going to open up in Word the PDF that I'm working with. Okay. Now, what I'll do here in the beginning is I am going to add a new contract. Okay. Now, of course, I can go in, and this has the functionality where I can fill all this stuff out. I can upload a file, and I can hit save, and it's going to save to Dataverse. It'll upload my file to SharePoint and all that stuff. But everything does that. That's not really that fun. Okay, so let's do something with Content AI right away. All right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a contract like we just opened. And you can see here, I've got some information here. So here is, I've got a contract title. I have who it is between. So here is my my group that it's between here, and here is the second person. I've got addresses, right? I've got some terms down here. One thing that I do want to show here real quick is the term of the agreement will begin on the date of the agreement. So that's up here. Right? And a lot of times in contracts, you have something that is ambiguous, not ambiguous, but difficult to pull out and to put to an actual date. Here, we have the agreement will remain in full force in effect for a period of 6 months. So there is no date that I can just grab and pull out. It is a period of 6 months. Those are the terms. So how do we deal with stuff like that inside of our contracts? Okay, well, I'll take a look at how we're going to do that. So what I'll do here is I'm going to upload one of our files. I'll just upload this one. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to click the button that says use model. And if it doesn't error out, what we'll see is this is going to go back to my original screen. So I'm going to click use model. It'll whirl and whiz for a second, and it's going to load my screen. Okay, so you can see here in the contract name, I have a new addition. All right, so what did that do? What it did is it went to, I can't see underneath my thing. You can see I've got a new document here. All right, and it doesn't have any metadata in it just yet. All right, but you see these other ones do. Now you see I have a couple of switches here. I've got use model, and I also have the primary contract ID. This is the ID in Dataverse. That's my data source where I'm storing the information. Okay, and so a number of things are going to happen here. As soon as it gets uploaded here, Syntex, Microsoft, what used to be called Microsoft Syntex, it's actually going to be the SharePoint Premium now, is going to classify this document, and it will extract the metadata from this. So I'm going to hit refresh. Maybe it's done already. So it is. It's done already. So you can see here, I have all of my effective date, and you guys saw it. All I did was click a button, it uploaded it. It's pulling this information from the document itself. Okay, so what's going to happen next? So we have that expiration date. And how do we get that expiration date? And that's where things really get fun. All right, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to pull up AI Studio. And in AI Studio, what I have is this is a deployment of ChatGPT-4 that is in Azure. This is in my tenant. The information doesn't go anywhere other than my tenant. It stays with me. I'm not taking this contract and putting it somewhere else so someone else can see it as I'm prompting on it. It stays in my tenant. And what I have here is I have a very specific set of instructions that I've given ChatGPT here to do, and it can pull out the information that I'm looking for. In this case, I'm asking it, what is the expiration date of this particular contract? All right. It goes in there, it looks at what that expiration date is going to be, and it's going to see this is in force for 6 months, and it'll do a calculation to give me the date of expiration. So we'll go ahead and go back here. I'm going to hit refresh, and there we go. We're done. Here's our consulting agreement. It's with Farracom Industries. It's with Lynn Roberts. Our contract is effective 7/1/2023, and we'll go in here for our expiration date, and it is 6 months from that date. So you saw here information from that document that was taken, and I didn't do anything to it other than I uploaded it, and now I've got it into my contract management system. The expiration date is populated. All the other stuff is populated. I'm ready to go. Okay, I'm going to stop there. Questions, comments on what just happened?
Anyone? Bueller?
Basically, whatever you had entered in, uploaded the document, with that, it parsed the data and put it in this model-driven app, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So what I did was it first of all, Content AI looked at the document, and it extracted the information that it found for the metadata that I've got here. And then what I did is I digitized that PDF document. I turned it into text, and I sent it to ChatGPT, and I said, find me the expiration date. It exported the expiration date. It did a calculation based upon that 6 month. It knew the origination date, and it knew the expiration. It knew that it was good for 6 months, and it gave me an expiration date. With this, I've got a link here. The link is going to go, again, it's going to go into that contract and show me where it is. So here it is, delay July 1st, 2023, and term is good for a period of 10 months, which is exactly what I came up with. Okay.
Basically,
Now,
you took the PDF and then converted to Word, and in the Word, you went into the developer mode and added those controls and all that.
1 second. You're getting ahead of me. So let's look at another example specifically. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to hit plus again. And again, all this is boring. What I want to do is I'm clicking on use the contract template. Okay. Now this is a modern template that I have created within SharePoint. So this is going to use SharePoint Premium content assembly to take the information that I'm going to put in and then create me a lease document. So let's do that. I'm going to click this, and it gives me a form for my lease. So I'm going to say this is going to be Dave Baxter lease. Dave Baxter lease date. Let's say this is going to be today. Landlord name, Matt Meyer. Effective date, it's going to be effective today. Our end date here, we'll say this is a, we'll go 1 year contract, lease term 12 months. and rent amount. Dave's going to give me $100 or $1,000. How about $10,000? I like that. Give me $10,000, Dave. Deposit amount's going to be this, and I'm going to give him 60 days for a notice period. Okay, so what I'll do here is I'm going to hit this add button, and it's going to reach out with Power Automate to create a document based upon a template. So I'll go ahead and hit that, and it will fail because my requested 10 does not validate string. All right, so anyway, let's go forth with this in a different way. So here's one that I did create. This is the Minami lease, and you can see this one. If I click on this, it's going to come here and it will open up Word. So now I can go in here and I can adjust this. All right, so I can say, okay, this is not going to be with Minami Meyer. This is going to be with Dave Baxter. Okay, so I can make that change. It's within Word. I've got all my Word things that I can do here. I've got my 60 days, and you can see here I have signatures that I can use. All right, so say I'm done now. I'm going to send this over to Dave for signature. One of the new features, brand new features with SharePoint Premium is I'm going to go here to File and let's see here. I'm going to go to the lease agreement, and I'm going to go into my lease agreements library, and you can see here I've got this particular one. And what I'll do, I'm going to get rid of this real fast because I don't want it to die because it's going to overload. But I've got a little Power Automate flow here that will convert it to PDF. So I'm going to click that, and it takes just a second to run, but it reaches out, it looks at that document, it sends it out to Adobe, and it comes back as a PDF document. So we'll go ahead and run the flow. This will take just a minute to come back. And as that is doing that, I'm going to show you here in our lease agreement. We've got this lease agreement template, and I can do this by creating. This is a modern template, and there it is. So I've got my PDF back, and I can go ahead and send out signatures now. So I'll come up here, and you'll notice this button right here, Get Signatures. I'm going to click on that, and I'll put in my recipients. So dave.baxter@sparkhound.com. That look good, Dave? VP of Sales, there you are. And Matt Meyer, that's me, right? We go next, and now we put in where the signatures go. So I'm going to put Dave's signature. He is going to go back. He's not going to go there. Come on, signature. There we go. Signature, Dave's. I don't know why it does not like me right here. Anyway, we'll put Dave's signature right there. We'll put my signature. I don't want it right there. I can't drag and drop. I don't know why it's not letting me drag and drop. It's being very interesting with me right now.
I'll sign wherever you need me to sign, Matt. It's okay.
Yeah, it's one of those things. So let's go ahead and delete that. And I'm just going to have Dave there for a second so that we can. There we go. Okay, here we go. All right, I'm going to put Dave's signature on there just so we can see it, right? And then I guess I have to have everybody. So Matt's signature is going to go there too. I'm going to hit next, and then it'll send it out to these people. So please sign. I'm going to go ahead and hit send, and it takes it a second, but it creates a new file for me that is going to be sent out to Dave for signature. And this is going to be the same experience that you usually see with with your e-signature type programs. And so this is all resides within Microsoft 365, all resides within SharePoint. So you're able to use this for your signature. So the signature request is sent. If I click view document, this pops up and it's going to show me the signature. So I'm still waiting on Dave's signature and my signature. I'm going to agree. Here's the terms and conditions. It knows who I am because I'm logged in. I'm going to agree. I'm going to sign here, my name, Matt Meyer. I should have just hit tab. There we go. Done. And I'm done. Okay. So ready to submit. Yes, I am. I'll go ahead and submit that. It's going to take it a second to submit, and it'll say that I'm done. Dave's going to get an email here in 5 or 10 minutes that says, go ahead and please sign. So my signature was added, and I'm still waiting now on Dave Baxter. You can see here the history of everything as it goes to become signed. And I'll pull up Outlook very, very quickly. This is always a little dangerous.
Okay, Matt,
I don't know what
signed.
You signed it.
I did.
You signed
I
it,
just
Dave?
hit submit. Submitting the document, and it might take a moment.
Okay, so you can see here. Here's what it looks like in the email experience. So I've added my signature to this. Here's the request, right? And I can take a look at this when it's done. So we'll view request, and it's going to pull up my signature request. Okay, I'm waiting on Dave Baxter, so it hasn't come in yet, but this is your signature style. So in my document, I've been able to, in my program, I was able to create a new consulting agreement by uploading a document, having information extracted from that, and then sending it to ChatGPT to get my expiration date. I was able to create a document from scratch using the content assembly. Well, mostly I got an error, but I did it earlier. I don't know why it blew up there, but that's what happens when you develop what you're doing here in just a couple hours before your demo. And then finally, what I wanted to show is this is one of our content reminders. So what I have here is a Power Automate flow that runs once a day. All right. And what we do then is we determine what today is, what now is, and then we create something that is UTC plus 90 days. So now I've got a date in the future. All right. And then what I do is I get the items from my list, from my Dataverse or from my SharePoint list, and then I'm going to look at what is that. So I've got an array here. I select all overdue items, 90-day. So I get all my items, 90-day email date and a 30-day email date, and I'm creating then, I'm finding those items, and what I'm doing then is I'm creating an email based upon what that date is. So for 90 days, 30 days, and overdue, I go ahead and send an email out, for that particular person to know that we have a contract, it's expiring, we need to either do something with it, or we can go ahead and let it expire, but they know when those things are occurring. That's what I have for our demo today. I'm happy to take any questions that you have. Talk about what you'd like to see in a contract management system. Kind of open up the floor. Go ahead.
The Microsoft has come up with something called approval, right? That
Yes.
says approval from one person or everyone or whoever comes first or something like that.
Yes.
Have you used that in the Power Automate flow? Okay.
I use that extensively. I don't have it here for this particular demo because it would have just gone from Dave and I, but yes. So what happens is you create an approval flow, and there's a couple different ways that you can do it. I like to set mine up so that there are various levels of escalation. So if Dave is an approver, I send it to him, and then if he doesn't answer within 2 or 3 days, it's going to get escalated to someone else, and then to someone else, and then to someone else. So you can get an approval that happens. These approvals are recorded within Dataverse in the approval solution, and you can see them actually in Teams. So if you take a look at, I don't know if I actually have any approvals, but we'll take a look at this real quick. So in Teams, I will share my screen out in just a second. There is, yeah, and I don't have any approvals here that you can see, but in Teams, there is an approval application, right? And this is where you would see all those approvals that either were sent by me or received by me. Okay. Again, I don't have any here for this particular. Let's take a look at my my environment. I might have several in here, but these are approvals then that are sent out that you can see the status on where they're at. So here's a leave request that I worked with, sent it to myself. So yeah, this is where you would take a look at that and play with that. But yes, we use these in almost everything that we do because there is normally some level of approval that's going to occur.
Yeah, and one of the other clients we talked about earlier, they've got a scenario where their vendors log in, they upload their deliverables to the site, and then the vendors want to be able to see what stage in the approval process is that particular deliverable. And if it gets returned to them and say it's work, it's going to need some rework, it gets sent back to them, they get notified, they rework the deliverable, they resubmit it again for approval, and then it might have a multi-part approval process. It might have to go from a reviewer to a lead reviewer to a supervisor and so forth. So there's some linear options, and then depending on if it's approved or rejected, or it's sent back for review by the vendor, you might have it kind of branch off into some different types of approval processes that occur. So it can be a linear, or it could be something that has a little bit of a spider web approach to it to get to a final approval. And then the second scenario, once those deliverables are approved, this is kind of a phase 2 for the solution, is they want to be able to issue out to the vendor, okay, deliverable has been approved, please invoice us for this deliverable. And then the vendor can upload their deliverable into the site, and then that gets routed to accounting for payment.
Thank you.
Yep. You had an excellent question also in the chat. What you saw was a Canvas app. I created a Canvas app there. The question was, could this also be done as a model-driven app? And the answer to that is absolutely yes. I did it as a Canvas app so I could be a little bit more flexible with my forms, but it can be done either way. You can do it as a model-driven app or a Canvas app. Just depends on where your data is and what your exact needs are.
I mean, we could also embed a Canvas app within a model-driven app, right? That's what we're trying to do.
You can have pages.
Had a database and had initially model-driven app. Then for ease of the use, we also added a Canvas app, and we embedded the Canvas app within a model-driven app for sending the emails. But we wanted to know, like, for approval, is it good to use the Canvas app or the model-driven app? Like, for example, once the approval is done, that approval, the final thing, it can also embed within the model-driven app also, right?
Yeah, right now it just depends on where your data is. So if most of your data is in Dataverse, you're going to keep it there, and you have this kind of tabular format, it's very easy to create a model-driven app to give you that functionality right out of the box very, very quickly. Yeah, there's a little bit less flexibility when it comes to the UX when it comes to model-driven apps, but again, like you said, you can embed Canvas pages within model-driven apps. So yeah, absolutely, it's a viable solution. And actually, we're going to be building that with another client here very soon.
Matt, talk a little bit about the benefits of going model versus Canvas.
Really, the model-driven app, you can get out a little quicker because you are more limited on what you're doing in terms of your UX. The model-driven app, if you've got a lot of data, the model-driven app tends to be a little bit more performant than the Canvas app. But really, the Canvas app, I have a lot more flexibility over my UX, how I'm handling data that comes in and out. But they're both good solutions. Just you got to pick the right pros and cons for what you're trying to do.
All right,
Could we also use the workflow and the business processes for the approval instead of because Microsoft now has come up with something called approval in the connector, approval connector, right? But if we use the workflow or the business process, is that better for getting the approvals, or is it good to use the approval connector itself?
I like to use the approval connector and the approval out of the box from Microsoft. A couple different reasons. The auditing is better there. It also has more ways that I can check for what that approval is and the status. But either one's an okay solution. I personally like the solution better than the other approval system.
But the approval within the Microsoft, it keeps waiting, right, until it gets the approval. Is there a way to say that like a preemptive sort, like it does not need to have wait for it? Instead of that, it just whenever the approval comes, you can just add it instead of continuously waiting. You know, is that a possible? Because under the approval options, yeah.
You've got a couple different options you can do there. Inside there, you've got if you're using a serial approval, then yes, it goes one step to the next step to the next step. But you can do a parallel approval where it's going to either get a majority of people or everyone. It depends. You can also have the approvals time out and escalate to someone else. We do that a lot in our ISO functions where it has to be approved within 2 days or somebody else has to do it. So there's a number of different ways that you can go in, create the approval, cancel them out, adjust them, or sit there and wait for the next one. You cannot have an approval that lasts over 30 days. That is the maximum runtime for a flow. It will time out at that point.
Good. Thank you for answering all the questions. The only thing is, supposing if there are multiple people, right, and if one person is not available, then it goes to another one, and then it goes to another one. Yeah. But can we store their digital signatures and so that they can like drop down and then they can select their digital signature in the system and then send it? Or is it good to integrate with the DocuSign for forwarding for this one and that? DocuSign also has a connector, a premium connector, right, in Power Platform. Which one is better approach?
So it depends on which one you like to use. The digital signature that I showed here is from Microsoft and is just as legally binding as the DocuSign one. My preference, I like the Microsoft one because I can deploy it out to all of my sites and it costs me per request. It's $2 per request. If I use DocuSign, it is a license, so I have to license individual people, and there can be a bottleneck on what I use. If you do use the connector, there is you have to pay for the API, so that is an additional license that you do have to pay for. So the Microsoft one is a little bit easier to use. However, it is not nearly as robust as the DocuSign. So a little bit of give and take. If I'm just using it for digital signatures, I like the Microsoft product.
Thank you.
Yep.
Great question. Thank you.
The e-signature right now is available in the United States only. It will be available to UK and to Canada and the rest of North America. They said at the AIM conference this spring, this summer, so it should be there. The column that I sent to ChatGPT to look at, actually, my friend Sean Squires, the principal product manager of SharePoint Syntax, that is going to be replaced by something called an autofill column, and that is coming here in 2024. They're not sure yet. The code is done, but they haven't decided when they're going to release it yet. But you're going to get the chance to be in SharePoint and ask those little prompt questions about things that you're uploading, whether it be in a document or in other aspects, so that you can have these columns. You don't have to create something that's going to reach out and touch ChatGPT with an API or anything like that. It is going to be built into the SharePoint columns themselves. So that's a big thing that'll be happening here very soon.
And we know a lot of our public sector clients are on GCC. So is everything you showed today available in GCC?
Everything but e-signature. E-signature should be later on this week, or sorry, later on this spring in GCC.
Okay, great.
Oh, so right now the signature is not available in GCC.
Not available. It's just went general availability in the commercial tenant, I want to say 2 months ago. So it is soon to be there this spring, they said.
And also the Copilot Studio, is that available in the GCC cloud or is it only in the other cloud? Because
It is available in GCC cloud.
Because in that 9 to 10:30 talk what we had with the Microsoft Business Applications launch event,
Yep.
they did not answer if it is it available in GCC cloud or not.
So and that's so Copilot Studio used to be called Power Virtual Agents,
Yeah,
right? And
that
Power
was
Virtual
earlier
Agents
one.
is absolutely available in GCC cloud. So it maybe doesn't have the name change yet, but it's absolutely there.
No, the thing is, it is there and the Copilot Studio also is there, but we cannot give the websites where it can reference from. For example, if I configure the Copilot Studio,
Yes.
then if I wanted to search in the a couple of websites, then that is grayed out. That part is grayed out.
Right. Some of the generative AI pieces are not available yet, but the actual product itself is absolutely there.
Yes, yes, that we tested, but giving the website links, that is grayed out.
Okay. I will say they have gone a long way over the couple of years of accelerating the timeline between when things go in the commercial tenant, when they go live in GCC. And I know GCC High is a whole different animal. We've got a couple of clients that are on GCC High. There's some serious limitations on the GCC High, but they've shrunk the timeline for the product sets to be available in GCC, both Mod and High, over the last year or so, which is good to see.
Yeah, especially the Microsoft Power Platform. It has been doing pretty good and we are using extensively.
Great.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, we've got about 7 minutes left here now, so we want to just continue doing a little bit of QA. We can talk a little bit about what our solution looks like for this, and if a contract management solution is something that somebody's interested, we're happy to talk a little bit more about that. Or if you've got some other ideas you'd like to bat around with us and say, hey, this is either a solution that we don't have, or one that we have from a third party, or a system that we have that's antiquated, we want to modernize this. We're happy to kind of walk through these different scenarios with you, and we can schedule a meeting, after this at some point to kind of talk through those. But we're really here to help you guys take advantage of the solutions. As I said, we've seen tremendous amount of interest from our public sector clients in this, both large and small. There's really been no break point of what's right for somebody versus what's right for another agency. So, and again, it's been state agencies, cities, counties, small boards and commissions and so forth. We've done a smattering of solutions across the entire public sector arena. So we're happy to talk about any of those if there's anything of interest. But for now,
what we see is that you'll start off with one particular use case. Okay, we're going to build this particular application, and as you become familiar with the way that you develop the drag and drop, the flows, more and more solutions are moved over into the Power Platform.
And I will say, one of the things that I tried to make Matt's head spin the first time we had a conversation about this solution with one of our clients was, would it be great if you could just open up the screen and type in how many deliverables do we have due from our vendors in the next 60 days? And it would just tell you. You could integrate, the generative AI and the open AI concepts into this. And the CIO went, I want that. So then Matt's head exploded, but it's there. It's the days of, hey, I have to have a dashboard. Look, dashboards are great. We love to create dashboards. Reports are great. We like to create those. But nowadays, it's every day just wanting to type in to a screen saying, tell me X, and it just spits it out for you. So with a solution like this, you could incorporate that technology into the solution to say, hey, let me know when these things are coming due, or, in the next 90 days, how many deliverables are we going to have to pay for if they're all accepted? What's that budget look like? So you budget forecasting, you can do timeline forecasting and so forth. So being able to take advantage of the entire Power Platform ecosystem now, inside of a solution like this, there's a lot of power that's available to you with that stack.
And as that data, so my head exploded because that creating something like that, you usually need some sort of indexer that sits behind that, and their budget didn't really allow for that. But that doing things like that is absolutely possible. And with some of our commercial clients, we are building something very, very similar to that. They have a set of documents along with database data that they want to use, and we are putting that into an index then that their Copilot Studio or other ChatGPT can respond on. Just as I sent this document to find out the expiration date, I could have just as easily asked another question and queried it and got a response back.
All right, we got a few minutes left. Are there any last minute questions? Going once. Look, I'll share my screen out one more time real quick. So again, this is just kind of an overview of the solution that Matt demonstrated today. You know, things that we can do for you. Again, it doesn't necessarily have to be contract or vendor management. This is just a solution that a lot of our clients have asked us for over the last years. It really can be anything. We have another solution with a client where they have a rulemaking process. They're a board here in the state of Louisiana that promulgates rules for a certain set of individuals. They have a rulemaking process that has to follow very specific timelines, has to follow very specific rules, workflows associated with when it has to go to the Attorney General's office, when it has to be signed off by the governor. There's dates that are built into legislation, so we're going to build them a solution around that as well. We have another one where they've got, you know, they're getting billing information in from different firms, and they're trying to evaluate, you know, and automate the process of breaking down those bills and doing some analysis on those bills. So again, it doesn't have to be contract or vendor management. It can be a host of different solutions. And, you know, one we are just wrapping up for another state agency here in Louisiana is they are a state agency where they have providers that give services to people that receive benefits from the state. And this is managing the of those providers. So making sure that they're meeting the requirements of their contract. So it's got to look at their contract. It's got to create the KPIs associated with that contract. And then it's got to give them notices. Okay, vendor has not KPIs this quarter when they're measuring. What are the ramifications of that, and what next do we need to do to make sure that we can take care of that vendor's shortcomings and get them back on track? Or do we pull their contract at some point? Is there some steps we can put in place to evaluate when it's time to actually cancel a contract with a vendor or put them on a performance improvement plan, so to speak? So there's a lot of different options out there, and we're happy to talk with anyone on the call about any of those solutions that you guys might be interested in.
With that, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Feel free to email me or Dave if you have any questions at all. I'm very happy to talk to you about these and any other solutions that you have.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Well, thanks so much for joining us this afternoon, and we look forward to hearing from you.